All right, here we go. On to the next game. The Hat Choppers took on Gunther's Nightmare. What could be probably the win of the week and the statement of the week. Hat Choppers put up 129 points over Gunther's 118. Peyton Manning could be a nervous game there for Peyton Manning and Reagan's new top-tier quarterback. He's been dying to get all for 9 years. He puts up 24 points. Not a very good game. Surprisingly enough, Aaron Rodgers, who Reagan is awfully proud of, put up 25 points. He needed a big game out of Rodgers going into the Monday night game, I believe, and he got it. I'm sure Reagan talked about that extensively at men's group, and I'm sure it was very difficult to stomach. Reagan's other big player, who his whole season rests on, Marshawn Lynch, had a respectable game of 15 points. The big surprise, though, for Shoppers, Willie Parker, who usually does not get in the end zone, rushed for 138 yards and 3 touchdowns. I watched that game, and he looked pretty good, but it was difficult to tell how good he's going to be because the Texans are rotten. Another major disappointment, Braylon Edwards, or as Reagan likes to call him, Braylon Edwards. 2 catches, 14 yards, 1 point. I saw that game. He had, I counted 5 or 6 drops, literal drops. So Shopper's probably a little discouraged about that, if he even knows about it. I doubt it. Roy Williams, who we really like that draft. I believe Reagan picked him up in the 8th or 9th round. Quite the steal. We're not sure who drafted for him there or how he heard of him, but I believe he thought it was Ricky Williams. He put up 11 points. That'll probably be his average, but look for him to score more points than that. And the Shoppers really did, they turned some heads this week. We got to hand it to them. They put up a lot of points. But looking down at their bench, they're also not very deep. They did have Plaxico Burress on the bench, who had a lot of points. So he's deep at wide receiver. But look for this game to give Reagan a big sense of false confidence. And this win could come back to bite him. Over on Gunther's side, I spoke with Gunther earlier today, and he has major concerns, as does Pawpaw. Kitna should have put up much more than 24 points against the Falcons. Matt Asselback really decided to come out and screw Gunther here. 14 points. He's got a bad back. He lost Nate Burleson, their #1 receiver. They're hurting for receiver. They're considering, in fact, moving one of their backup quarterbacks to wide receiver. This team is rotten, and they're another team that is going to nosedive any fantasy players. Ernest Graham, a respectable game, 91 yards on 27 carries. Maybe we'd like to see that average up a little bit more. Maybe we'd like to see him cross in for a touchdown. Big disappointment probably has to be LT. LT does this every once in a while. 97 yards, 15 yards receiving, 11 points, no scores. Just kind of a boring, mediocre game for a keeper. But the real anchors of Gunther's team came through. Randy Moss and T.O. combined for 37 points. They'll do that all year long. Look for them probably more to combine for 50 in the coming future. But again, as I've said over and over, the current theme is here. A lot of our fantasy teams this year don't have anywhere to look for help. Trent Edwards is on his bench. David Garrard is on his bench. The Jaguars have major issues right now. Chris Perry, Pawpaw is very big on Chris Perry, but it looks like the Cincinnati Bengals are just a rotten team as well. He put up 1 point. Darrell Jackson had a good game with 17 points, and Greg Jennings was decent. But Gunther might be reeling a little bit. Look for Gunther to maybe shake things up, maybe make a trade for a quarterback. Will he ship off T.O. or Moss maybe to try to pick up a pretty decent quarterback? It might not be a bad idea. But Shoppers rolls in this one. A lot of false confidence from Shoppers right now. This really kind of is good for the league, if you will, to see Hat Shoppers take this first game. They're going to be riding high, which basically means they won't want to make a trade for the next 3 years. But anyway, close game, shock of the week. We got to give it to them, and that'll do it.